Story 1. This might be unusual, but I still think Super Mario World is one of the greatest games of all time. People accustomed to the Nintendo Entertainment System had never really seen a generation leap before, and it was amazing how advanced it seemed at the time. Even though today it is quite primitive, it is still really fun. The levels, the controls, the music, all of it works, and it holds up even now. Like most Mario games, you can tell that Nintendo put in extra time to polish it and make it something people would actually want to play. Super Mario World was clearly written as a technical demonstration of the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, but somehow Nintendo managed to make even that a good thing. Most Nintendo Entertainment System games just got harder and harder until you gave up. Just making a game you could actually finish was pretty unusual back then. Story 2. The Legend of Zelda. Breath of the Wild is gaming's best vacation. Story 3. Halo changed the world forever. There will never be hype at that level again. Story 4. Red Dead Redemption 1 and 2, Assassin's Creed Origins. These two are the best. Story 5. Cyberpunk 2077. Genuinely the best story game I have ever played. The main story and the side quests are all extremely well written and of equally excellent quality, offering many emotional roller coasters. Best sound design in any game I have played. Extremely detailed world and lore, as it is part of a much older franchise. There are so many features and details that it is almost insane. All in all, like other CD Projekt Red games, you can truly sense the love for the game and world, and the hard work that has been put into it. You know when a game genuinely feels like a piece of art. Because of its launch, the game has a terrible reputation, with few people realizing that all these bugs were fixed a couple of years ago in the 2.0 update. Since then, a massive downloadable content expansion, basically adding a whole new part of the main story, doubling its length and adding a whole new area to the city, along with many more features, has been added. It has literally undergone several major updates. All the issues that previously prevented people from buying it have been fixed and compensated for comfortably. You can even use the cool monorail tram now, 10 out of 10. If it were not for the unfortunate launch, this game would have been remembered as revolutionary. Story 6. Fallout 3 will always be my best memory of first playing a video game. I really enjoyed the storyline and felt a real sense of dread exploring some areas. The map felt very expansive. I tried Fallout New Vegas, but it did not have the same impact. Story 7. Warcraft 3. It is why I am so upset with Reforged. You cannot play the pre-reforged version without the original discs or unethical means. Even if you do get the original game, Battle.net is so broken with it because of their terms of service that custom games were discontinued. Just to be clear for the younger generation, Warcraft 3 is the reason you have multiplayer online battle arenas like Defense of the Ancients and the popularization of tower defense games. I am sure there are others. The map editor that game came with was a powerful game-creating tool. Story 8. I loved Ghost of Tsushima and The Last of Us games. I am older now, and my kids have all the consoles, so I rarely play anything. Story 9. Mario Kart for the Nintendo Wii shaped my childhood and is still an important part of my life. Story 10. Morrowind or Diablo 2. Old but gold. Played both to death. Story 11. Prey, 2017, by Arcane Studios. It did not receive much attention as it was released around the same time as the movie Prey, and the advertising was poor. This game is still incredible and is a hidden gem. Story 12. Competitive, Rocket League. Overall, Hades. Nostalgia. Fire Emblem Blazing Sword Game Boy Advance. Story 13. What Remains of Edith Finch. It is an independent game. My uncle showed me that game. The Legend of Zelda, Twilight Princess. My first game of Zelda that made me fall in love with The Legend of Zelda. Story 14. Assassin's Creed. I love all of the games, but the first one blew my mind. I played it every day for at least 6 months. Story 15. Sanitarium. Sat down, started playing. Got up from the chair the next day completely in awe. Story 16. RuneScape had me for a decade, but I think I was most hooked on Atelier Iris Grand Phantasm. I would spend 8 hours on PlayStation 2 after school. I have no clue how I finished school. Quite funny, I don't even find anime interesting now. Story 17. Changes a lot, but Far Cry 3 is one I can keep replaying and not get bored. Story 18. World of Warcraft, when it was first released, was literally like living another separate life as a 12-year-old child. Nothing will ever top that feeling of adventure. Story 19. Hard to pick a single best game, but I could certainly pick the best of each genre. For a pick-up-and-play shooter, Halo. It will always be replayable to me. I'll never grow out of pretending to be the Master Chief. For something relaxing and creative, Space Engineers. It's like Minecraft, but in space. Cool physics too. For a role-playing game, Diablo 2 Remastered for sure. Always something to grind for or a tougher boss to fight. For open world and survival, Fallout. The world built for those games is awesome, hilarious, and disturbing all at once. Story 20. This is going to sound dumb, but my favorite is Indiana Jones and the Infernal Machine. Story 21. Pong. Story 22. Pac-Man. Really, I have not played any video games since the earliest days. Story 23. I'll add a little bit of indie. Sanabi. Katana Zero. Sea of Stars is also good but can be a little boring in the middle of the game. Hades, Dead Cells, and Terraria. Story 24. I still hold for the original Halo, the only game I ever beat on all levels, including Legendary. Took me a long time, over a year, but I played that game until my fingers bled. Story 25. I'll say it was probably Portal 2. It is too bad that Valve does not ever count to 3. Story 26. Xenoblade Chronicles. Even knowing most of the story beats going in, it was amazing to experience. Even if you do not like role-playing games, I still recommend it. Story 27. Best Story. The Last of Us Part 1 and Part 2. Best Background Music. Mega Man 2. Believe me when I tell you it still slaps. Best Multiplayer. Super Smash Bros. Melee. Best Fighting Game. Street Fighter 3, Third Strike. Honorable mention to Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Best Simulation Game. Roller Coaster Tycoon 1 and 2. Story 28. Was absolutely blown away by Cyberpunk 2077. It received a lot of criticism at launch, but the story and exploration in the game are some of the best I have seen. The concept was eagerly anticipated, and it has become much better and more in-depth after the patches and downloadable content. It is now my favorite game of all time. Story 29. I think everybody should play Dark Messiah of Might and Magic. It's a first-person sword and magic action game with role-playing game elements. The story is mediocre, but the gameplay is very good. It has multiple endings, demons, knights, dragons, trolls, giant spiders. Everything. You can cast a freeze spell on the floor, and enemies will slip on the ice. I think I need to replay it again. Story 30. Star Wars. The Force Unleashed on the Wii and Grand Theft Auto. San Andreas. Story 31. I am stuck choosing between Silent Hill 1 on PlayStation 1 and Timesplitters 2 on GameCube. Story 32. Honestly, Minecraft. I mean, it is like life in a lot of ways. It is what you make it. Story 33. Mass Effect Trilogy. I watched my dad play it as a little kid, and once I was old enough to play, let me say the story is excellent. Story 34. Super Smash Bros. Brawl. While it may not be the best game objectively, I played it all the time with the other neighborhood kids every weekend during the school year and every night during the summer. It brings me good memories that I look back upon. Story 35. Super Mario Galaxy 2. If it were not for the nostalgia bias, I would still think it is a beautiful game and one I could replay for thousands of hours without getting tired of it. Even though the gameplay is rarely difficult and it lacks the storyline of the first game, something about it always makes me feel warm inside. Story 36. In terms of dialogue and storytelling, the first BioShock installment was one of my favorite video games of all time. The voice acting was incredible as well. I am well into my 30s now, 33, but still remember being in absolute awe as a teenager when the game came out in 2007. Story 37. Hard question. The top games are Red Dead Redemption 1, The Last of Us 1 and 2, and all God of War series. These are the games I think about occasionally. Story 38. Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. I played it back in the day when it was released on Game Boy Advance. The storyline and gameplay remain vivid in my mind to this day. Story 39. Super Mario Galaxy. Amazing design, amazing soundtrack, and amazing gameplay. Never gets old for me. Story 40. 2019 or 2020. The number of memories I have from those games is incredible. Story 41. For me, it is Cabal Online. It is the first massively multiplayer online game I have ever played, and it has stayed with me ever since. It might not compare visually or in terms of animation with today's massively multiplayer online games, but to me, it is the most beautiful sight ever. Story 42. EVE Online. No other game has induced the same massive emotions of regret, sadness, anger, joy, pride, and pure adrenaline. Story 43. Nintendo Switch user here. I am here to say that I have that one game, I don't remember what it was called, that included Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, and Super Mario Galaxy. I enjoyed playing Super Mario 64 mostly for the main screen, and I remember always playing it when I got home from school. Now I sit here and remember that memory. My console is broken. Story 44. Full disclosure, I am not a gamer, but Super Smash Bros. Melee on GameCube was excellent. Story 45. Blasto and Ratchet and Clank. Going Commando, I Ninja, Sly Raccoon, Chronicles of Riddick, Grand Theft Auto, San Andreas. Story 46. The Last of Us Part 1. Part 2 was good as well, but a slight step down. Story 47. Elden Ring for me. I have loved the Souls games since I played Dark Souls 1 in 2011, and I have loved the high fantasy genre as a whole since I was a kid seeing Lord of the Rings in theaters. Elden Ring fully captures an indescribable feeling on the first playthrough of curiosity and wonder in the exploration of a high fantasy world. It is the culmination of my favorite game series of all time. Sometimes I wonder if I will ever play a better game than the experience I had on the first playthrough of that game. Story 48. Tales of Symphonia, Spyro 2, The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, Diablo 2, and Diablo 3. Story 49. Player versus player, third-person shooter, Action S4 League. Massively multiplayer online role-playing game, Guild Wars 2 Warframe. Single player, The Witcher 3. Story 50. There are a few games I really enjoyed playing. Not that they were the best I have ever played, but I put a ton of time into them. Here is my list. Oddworld, the whole series. Halo franchise. Boo German. Intelligent Cube on PlayStation 1. Call of Duty franchise, specifically DMZ, part of Modern Warfare 2. Original Legend of Zelda. A weird one called Spin Dizzy was one that took some time to learn but became super fun. Viva Pinata. If I had to pick a game that I could play repeatedly even after I have beaten it, it would be BioShock and BioShock Infinite. I played them both completely 3 or 4 times. Just my thoughts. Story 51. I do not know if it is the best, but it is definitely in my top 5 favorites. Infamous Second Son. I saved up for a whole year to be able to buy a PlayStation 4 and the game. That was the whole reason I bought a PlayStation 4 in the first place. I played it from beginning to end probably 6 to 8 times. Story 52. I do not know what it was called, but it was a Lego game where you had to choose a character and then a vehicle. You designed the vehicle before driving. Simple but cool. Story 53. Had to be Pong. Yes, it was the only game at the time, so it had no competition. Story 54. I want to say Sonic the Hedgehog 2. It is much better than the original, with a huge variety in levels and settings, 2-player split screen, and bonus stages that were revolutionary at the time. The big, bold graphics made it look like an arcade game, features cooperative play, and I still find new areas to explore each time I play. The only improvement is Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and Knuckles. I still think Knuckles' moveset is the best addition to the series. Story 55. Half-Life 2. It's the reason I got my first job, so I could save up the money to get my cousin to build me a PC good enough to play it. I still remember how blown away I was, thinking this was totally worth it. The graphics, the physics, the feeling of being part of a living world. It blew my mind as a 15-year-old. I played the first game and loved it, but Half-Life 2 was something extraordinary. My girlfriend doesn't play games, but I am trying to introduce her to some in the hopes that she will want to play my favorite game one day. Story 56. Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If only Hideo Kojima was still involved. Story 57. Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 2. The amount of fun I had during those sleepovers and the constant trash-talking in the lobby. Story 58. Red Dead Revolver was pretty good too back in the day. Good memories. Story 59. Minecraft. A million games in one. Currently, I am invested in the massively multiplayer online role-playing game Minecraft on a server called Winecraft. I lack sleep because it is so good. A month ago, I was building fully automatic factory lines and managing electricity and related systems. It was also in Minecraft. Story 60. Max Payne 1 and SimCity 4 made my childhood. I played those games multiple times. Story 61. Super Mario 3. Super Castlevania. Ocarina of Time. Perfect Dark. Story 62. Death Stranding is a good game under normal conditions, but during the COVID-19 pandemic, it became the best game to play. Story 63. Bayonetta. I held off on it for so long, and in 2020 I decided to try it out. It was such a great game. Story 64. It is so difficult to pick just one. The Witcher 3 and Assassin's Creed Odyssey come to mind quickly, but The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, and also older games such as Skyrim, Super Mario Galaxy, or Super Metroid could easily deserve that spot as well. Story 65. Little Nightmares. Both games are incredible, and I feel like I could just play them over and over. Story 66. Alien Isolation. Tons of great memories playing it late at night after work. Story 67. Recently, Baldur's Gate 3 and Elden Ring. However, Mass Effect will always have a special place. Story 68. Tie between Elden Ring and Luigi's Mansion for the Nintendo GameCube. Story 69. Horizon Zero Dawn and Horizon Forbidden West. Elden Ring is up there too. Story 70. War Selection. I found it more fun than Age of Empires. Better gameplay and more realistic. Story 71. On the top of my head, Assassin's Creed 2 and This War of Mine. Story 72. Tied between Batman, Arkham Asylum and Spec Ops. The Line. Story 73. This ended up longer than I suspected, and most are for nostalgic reasons. Game Boy, Legend of Zelda Tetris. Game Boy Color, Legend of Zelda, Ages and Seasons. Sega Mickey Mouse World of Illusion, Echo. Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Super Mario Land. Honorable mention for Duck Hunting. PlayStation 1. Tekken 3, Medieval, Final Fantasy VII. PlayStation 2. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, Dark Souls, Shadow of the Colossus, Final Fantasy X, Kingdom Hearts. PlayStation 3. Oblivion. PlayStation 4. Red Dead Redemption 2. Personal computer, Age of Empires 2. Story 74. Toss-up between The Last of Us, Mass Effect 2, Halo, Skyrim, Divinity 2, and Baldur's Gate 3. Story 75. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, The Last of Us Part 1, Metro series, Wolfenstein series, Road 96, Firewatch. Story 76. I am 12 years old, so I do not know many popular games, but I recently fell in love with the game Super Lucky's Tale on my PlayStation. Story 77. Final Fantasy X when it first came out. It was my gateway to the Final Fantasy world, and I played it a lot. Recently, I would say Final Fantasy VII Remake, as it is very large as well. Story 78. Rayman Legends is unlike any platformer in terms of graphics, music, movement, and level design. It also has excellent water levels. Story 79. In recent times, Ratchet and Clank on PlayStation 2 fulfilled all my action platformer expectations, And Gloomwood on personal computer had me obsessed. I can't wait for the full release. Story 80. In what regard? Best story, least amount of bugs, best graphics, or most fun? It is like asking what is the best car or the best fruit. Your question seems incomplete to me. But to give you an answer, at least I think Factorio manages to best achieve what it set out to be, out of all the games I have played. Story 81. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. Time and Darkness for Nintendo DS. Captivating story with a series of unexpected twists. Also, great original soundtrack. Story 82. Divinity. Original Sin 2. If you are into turn-based role-playing games and want a game with endless opportunities, you will love it. Story 83. It's a really hard question because I think you can only speak about your best gaming experience, which was at a particular time for you and for gaming in general. I loved Deus Ex: Human Revolution when it came out. It is still solid, but playing it now does not elicit the same kind of experience. Story 84. Yoshi Island Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Donkey Kong Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Top Gear Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Gran Turismo 2 PlayStation 1. Gran Turismo Sport PlayStation 4. Medal of Honor Spearhead Online PC. Max Payne 1 and 2 PC. Red Dead Redemption 2 PC. Story 85. Halo Combat Evolved. The campaign is phenomenal, especially considering the limitations of the hardware at the time. It is surprisingly detailed, challenging without being oppressive, and perfectly fits the grim and dark theme humanity finds itself in that universe. The multiplayer introduced a legendary map and is probably one of the greatest split-screen experiences of all time. Story 86. Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Nier Replicant, Nier Automata, Fire Emblem Awakening. Story 87. Metal Gear Solid 5. The Phantom Pain, Cyberpunk 2077, Far Cry 5, and Heavy Rain. Story 88. I have to say Nier Automata. It is weird, it is beautiful, and it has a few flaws. Not perfect, but it means the world to me. Story 89. Either Fallout, New Vegas, or Grand Theft Auto 4. Both games I strongly recommend to anyone who has never played. Story 90. The best game I have ever played, I don't know, but I went into Subnautica basically blind, and what an experience. Story 91. Definitely the Half-Life series. It has been with me since childhood, and the Source engine will always hold a special place in my heart. I also like to mess around in the Hammer editor, Gary's mod. I remember the first time I found out about it. The idea that I could get creative with all my favorite Source models, characters, and non-player characters was just amazing, plus the endless community workshop maps and items. But yeah, Half-Life 2 takes the cake. In recent years, I loved Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice. The idea of your skill improving in difficult combat without having to grind for gear or attributes is something I love. Great atmosphere, tough journey, but so worth it. Minecraft, been with it since beta, and once my friend and I found out about the mod packs like Tekkit, those were the days. My last great memory is playing the newer mod packs like Minecraft Eternal or Sevtech Ages. Vanilla Minecraft in today's form I don't find appealing at all. Doom always holds a special memory, going through the levels with God mode and all weapons cheat codes, and I remember being amazed by the level's diversity and clever designs. I'm glad we have games such as Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal now. Crysis was so ahead of its time. I boot it up every now and then, and I still consider the graphics amazing. My favorite playstyle was being up close and personal, throwing soldiers into huts and watching them collapse upon them. Call of Duty Modern Warfare series, 2007 to 2011. For the campaign story only. Terraria. A good 2D alternative to Minecraft. There was so much to explore, create, and slay in this blocky world. I never got to finish it or fight the Moon Lord, but I enjoyed most of the content. Batman. Arkham series made me love Batman for this badass series with a great story and a new form of combat. Let's throw Middle-earth. Shadow of War in here too, as it's by the same developers. World of Warcraft, I never grinded too much or experienced a proper raid, and I never liked player versus player mode. I just enjoyed getting to max level with my friend and discovering the world. The furthest I've gotten was Wrath of the Lich King heroic gear from the endgame dungeons. I liked meeting all the non-player characters and exploring the world. Some people were so nice too. Oh, the endless replayability of Skyrim. No need for more words. Yeah, that's what I can think of off the top of my head. Story 92. Subnautica. I wish I could forget it and play it for the first time again. Story 93. This is a very hard question, but I would say Metal Gear Solid. That game is life-changing. Story 94. The Last of Us Part 1 is my favorite game of all time by far. Story 95. Metal Gear Solid 1. Tactical espionage action has a powerful anti-war message, but it has not aged very well. I think they should have made a remake of Metal Gear Solid 1 before Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater. Also, Liquid Snake is very attractive. Story 96. Dragon Age Origins. I scrolled through many comments and did not see this game mentioned. It is a personal favorite of mine. My top 3 games would be Dragon Age, Origins, BioShock, and Mass Effect 2. Story 97. As a child, Super Mario Bros. Franchise. As an adult, Prince of Persia, Sands of Time. Recently, in 2024, No Man's Sky. Story 98. Grand Theft Auto 4, especially for its time, was something so different and new. The immersion was mind-blowing for me. I hold that game close to my heart still to this day. Story 99. Crisis, Crisis 2, Crisis 3, the entire Assassin's Creed games, and all the Resident Evil games. Story 100. Halo 2. But I am definitely biased because that game means hundreds of great memories with friends, local area network parties, and cooperative campaign. Story 101. Resistance. Fall of Man for PlayStation 3 is an amazing story, and the graphics still hold up well even by today's standards. There are impressive cutscenes between each level that provide more information and immerse you in the story. The game offers a wide variety of weapons and many different aliens, each with unique weapons and strengths. I have beaten the game 12 times and still play it once a year cooperatively with my friend. The main story probably takes about 20 hours to complete. Story 102. Disco Elysium. The depth of that game in all regards never fails to amaze me, even after multiple replays. Story 103. Mass Effect 2. Shepard's speech before the suicide mission had me on the edge of my seat, and at the end of it, I was like, let's go! Story 104. Just Dance. I always feel so much better and happier after I play it. Story 105. I am 24 years old with a job. In the past 5 years, not a single game came close to capturing me and pulling me in as much as Cyberpunk 2077 did. Cyberpunk was just next level. I was so absorbed in Cyberpunk that sometimes I would just walk at night, listening to, I really want to stay at your house, light a cigarette, and just enjoy the city and my time. On the other note, I get easily bored in other games, but I finish them quickly because there is something wrong with me. When I start something, I absolutely have to finish it. Otherwise, it really bothers me. In Cyberpunk, I didn't want to end the game and just wanted to do side quests all day long because I was afraid that if I finished the game, I would never find a game as good as Cyberpunk. One other thing, I can't replay any games that I finish. Once I finish them, that is it for me. I never go back and replay because it is just not fun unless 5 years go by. Story 106. 2 games I just cannot delete and will always return to are Cyberpunk 2077 and Fallout 4, and I stand by that. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.